Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 17 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to the Sunrise Show. Craig Froelich in as your host, and thrilled to welcome on to the program Kevin Starrett. He's the executive director of the Oregon Firearms Federation. OregonFirearms.org is the website, and I brought Kevin on because he spends his entire life practically studying this. The Oregon Firearms Federation incorporated in 1998, and Kevin, I love your language. Liberty is not a loophole. And I was talking off air about, why background check, why this push now in Oregon. And you just said, we've had background checks even at gun shows for the last 15. Why are the Oregon legislators, especially in the Senate, pushing so hard for the Senate Bill 941?
Well, because Michael Bloomberg came in here and spent an enormous amount of money, much of it on the governor. That probably wasn't the best investment he ever made.
Right.
But he basically bought the legislature. And the Democrats in the legislature, certainly in the Senate, with one exception of Betsy Johnson, want to have a universal registration list of gun owners. And this is the only way they can do it. I mean, it's interesting that if you look at the language of the bill, there are exceptions for where these background checks are demanded. So, for example, you could give a gun to your brother's gay lover, but you could not give a gun to a woman you lived with. It's absolute madness.
Yeah,
and
family. It's got to be family, right?
Well, but not necessarily. I mean, my brother's gay lover is not your family, but the law allows that. But there's so many technical problems with it. Obviously, philosophically, I don't want to ask permission from the police to exercise a right. But beyond that, the bill is utterly and completely unworkable and designed to make it as difficult and expensive as possible to transfer a firearm to a friend. That's what it's intended to do.
Well, exactly. And Sheriff Pat Garrett from Washington County, he said, there are a lot of guns that transfer. It's a fun sport. I mean, it's sports. They transfer among friends and everything else, buying and selling. And this whole issue, one thing that's not being talked about in Senate Bill 941 is it's 23 pages long, but the back 12 pages or whatever are a concealed handgun license application. Do you see changes in that? Why do they include the concealed? Is that to have it more universal?
Well, they always have to add language in different parts of the bill to make it consistent out. Of course, the bill isn't consistent at all. The bill really makes no sense. If I want to transfer a firearm to someone I've known for 30 years, I now have to find a gun dealer who's willing to do the transfer. So we go to the gun dealer, find somebody who's willing to waste his time on this. I try to transfer the gun to a friend of mine. If he gets delayed, what happens to the gun? Well, the dealer has to keep the gun in his inventory by federal law, so now the dealer has to warehouse the gun. If the state police makes a mistake, which they do all the time, and deny the person I'm trying to give the gun to, now the dealer has to do a background check on me for me to get the gun back. And the overwhelming majority of cases where people are delayed or denied are with no justification, and they're identified as criminals and denied are virtually never arrested. So who is this bill intended to affect?
That's exactly my point. Why? Who is it making safer?
Oh, it's making it. Well, look, the Democratic legislature this year has made it clear that they want to make convicted felons safer. Okay, they want to make it illegal for an employer to ask if you're a convicted felon. So while we're trying to protect people who are proven criminals, we are trying to hurt people who are doing nothing wrong. If you wanted to lend, a friend of mine wants to go hunting, all right? He's taking his son with him. Maybe his son doesn't have the right rifle. The only way I can lend that son one of my rifles is if I go out into the woods with them. I have to be there when they're hunting. I can't lend, a friend is going hunting, his rifle is not functioning, he wants to borrow mine. I can't lend it to him unless I'm actually with him on site. So who is this protecting? Well, it's not protecting anyone except Bloomberg and his millions. That's who it's protecting.
It's interesting, Kevin. We've got Kevin Starrett with the Oregon Firearms Federation and their website, OregonFirearms.org. Kevin, what's really interesting, this was written to all of the senators, and it was from Ron Alvarez out of Bend, Oregon. I don't know if you saw this letter or not, but he basically said, in conclusion, please know that in a state where the economy continues to lag miserably, student achievement bounces along the bottom, and corruption and waste ooze through the state government, the Democrat leadership and legislature choose to fix something that isn't broke. This will be your legacy, and an opinion, and once again, lead me to spend my time and money to see you replaced.
Well, I will tell you there are going to be efforts to do that immediately. These people have claimed that 86% of Oregonians want this, yet over 22 counties come out in opposition to it. Sheriffs have come out and said we will not enforce it. If you were at the hearing for the bill in the Senate, the overwhelming majority of people who were denied the opportunity to speak were in opposition to the bill. Yesterday, Ceasefire Oregon sent out an email saying that statistics about how in states where there's background checks, there's less killings, there's less cops being killed. In every single state quoted as the source for their statistics, other anti-gun groups, Violence Policy Center, Everytown for Gun Safety, Americans for Responsible Solutions. So basically, to come up with these statistics that the Democrats are pretending to believe, and where did they get them? They made them up. You know, we know people are opposed to this. You know, you get 22 counties in Oregon opposing something when 86% of the people support it. It's just nonsense.
It's unbelievable. And we've got a break coming up, but when I come back, I want to talk about observations at this public testimony in the 2 hours that they listened, and then they went ahead and all the amendments have been added on, and we'll talk about that again. But also on your website, incredible link, 19 pages that have come from the Oregon State Police that show the absolute investigations by the numbers, and it's shocking to see prohibited people, wanted, mental, and then stolen weapons. And I've always thought the stolen weapons were a bigger issue. So, Kevin, hold on, and we'll get to a break. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got Kevin Starrett with the Oregon Firearms Federation. Get to their website, OregonFirearms.org, and you can check that out along with that link. It's right there on the front page. Slide down a little bit. Oh, fantastic. And why liberty is our Second Amendment gun rights, the right to bear arms, ladies and gentlemen, this is at stake in Oregon. We'll be right back on the Sunrise Show after this break. Stay tuned.
So get up. Top of the morning to ya.
Good morning, everybody. 35 minutes after the hour, continuing with Kevin Starrett. He's the executive director of the Oregon Firearms Federation. You get to their website, firearms.org, and right below that picture and everything on the front page is a link for the Oregon State Police and the charts that show exactly what's going on related to categories in the state. And Kevin, obviously testimony up at the Senate was totally lopsided related to for and against. But we were just playing out scenarios on the break related to what would happen under this law, this Bill 941, which you said it's going to come from the Senate today in the third reading, go to the House, and undoubtedly pass. But all of the scenarios for anyone that has a concealed handgun license, or if you have a misdemeanor or anything else, there's no transfers among folks except outside of family without a special issue number. I mean, it's craziness.
Well, it's permission from the state to exercise a right. And what other rights would people be willing to subject to that? Before you can read a Bible, before you can write a letter to the editor, before you can express your opinion, you have to call up the state police and possibly wait 6 weeks to 2 years to get permission to exercise this right. And people have waited. Our instant background check is far from instant. I have spoken to gun dealers who have had guns waiting for approvals for 2 years. And so in that time, what happens? Look, if I'm delayed or denied on a gun purchase, it doesn't change my life because I already own firearms. But imagine a person, a woman living alone, who now is facing a stalker or some other predator. She's fearful for her safety. The police have told her, look, we can't protect you. But because of this system, she's not allowed to buy a gun because she fits into that category, the massive number of false denials. And it used to be that if she was falsely denied by a background check at a dealer, a friend could provide a firearm for her. Under this law, that will be illegal. It will be illegal to be able to help people protect themselves. It will be illegal to safeguard a gun for a friend who's going out of town. It will be illegal to safeguard a firearm for someone who's experiencing personal problems and doesn't think they should have a gun in their home. And this is the irony, as we were talking about. The same people who are pushing this bill saying that it's illegal to transfer these guns, are pushing a bill that it's illegal to safeguard a gun for a friend, are pushing another bill that mandates that your guns be locked up. So while your guns are locked up, supposedly to prevent bad things from happening with them, it will be a crime for you to provide that exact service for a friend who needs to have their guns safeguarded for whatever reason. So the whole thing is schizophrenic.
Yeah.
I mean, literally in some cases.
Yeah, well, exactly. Now, and isn't that Senate Bill 525?
No, that's Senate Bill 945.
Oh, okay. The one to have the guns locked up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 525 is another nightmare. That's just another complete nightmare. But right now, they're demanding that guns be kept locked up, but they make it a crime if you do that for somebody else. It's just madness.
Well, and here's the thing. The intent, you look at this about law-abiding citizens just trying to go about their life, and we were talking off air about, well, what happens if you unintentionally break this law and you have a concealed handgun license in the state of Oregon, and it's good for other states around the country, depending on how you process it, and all of a sudden, because of some snafu, legally you're charged and convicted of a misdemeanor or anything else, you lose that.
Yeah, I mean, people lose their gun rights in this state all the time without ever even being accused of a crime, let alone being convicted of a misdemeanor. You can have your gun rights taken away in the state by a judge simply because someone doesn't like you and got a restraining order against you. There doesn't have to be any
the restraining
evidence
order, exactly, yeah.
There's no evidence that you committed a crime. There's not even an accusation that you committed a crime. Judge signs a piece of paper, your rights are gone. That's just how it works here.
It's shocking, and I tell you, when liberty, you said it, liberty doesn't have any loopholes, and the Second Amendment, it's so simple and so basic. These are rights we don't have in anywhere else in the world. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's unbelievable that these legislators can put this bill on the table and it goes right through like it's okay.
Well, it still has a ways to go, and it is moving very, very quickly. As I said, barring some act of God, I expect it to pass through the Senate today, in spite of the fact that they know it's unworkable. They know that the statistics prove it has no purpose, but it's going to pass. And then the fight's going to go over in the House side, and we're going to continue to fight just as hard as we have. And the fight is never going to end, frankly. But these people, they're using their majority status to invoke some retribution for everything they wanted to get in the past, and ultimately that comes around. And so
it is.
It may take a while, but people are going to pay for what they do.
Well, that's exactly right. And Kevin, it's great to have you on. I want to have you on again soon when it's in the House. Let's follow that along, because this is if people aren't paying attention to this bill is just going to swoop right in, go right through. And why aren't they fixing things that need to be fixed? It just makes no sense to me.
Because that's hard work.
Exactly. This is easy, and of course, follow the money. And once again, we said at the beginning of the interview, Bloomberg's money has come in, and this is what they've got to push through on their promises. So, well,
exactly.
Kevin, we're out of time, but it's great to have you on. And ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Starrett, the executive director for the Oregon Firearms Federation, and get to their website, OregonFirearms.org, and look through those stats. You won't believe these are coming out of the Oregon State Police. It's just shocking that it's not addressing the issue of mental illness and safety for law-abiding citizens. So, Kevin, thanks for everything you do up there.
Thank you very much.
All right. More coming up on the Sunrise Show as we get moving. I tell you, I'm not done with this. I've got more, and I'm going to share some of these stats. You need to write your legislators and prepare them for this. We talked to Sal Esquivel last week. We're going to talk to him, and then Oregon State Senator Doug Whitsitt will be on this week. But I'm gonna hand out the numbers, who to call, who to talk to. Then we'll post it on our Facebook page. All right, quick break. More in the Sunrise Show after we get back. ABC Sports about 4 minutes away.